Good morning and welcome to the big story on Daybreak Live. Today we turn our attention to the unfolding political storm in Osun State, a developing situation that has left party loyalists, political observers and even casual followers asking the same question. What exactly is happening inside the PDP at the national level and of course at the state level? Our topic this morning is a crisis or contest, unpacking the PDP drama over its next governorship candidate in Osun State. Stay with us as we break down the facts, the factions, the power play, and road ahead. Samson Balogun is my name. All right, the political space is in Osun has been anything but quiet in recent weeks. What began as murmurs within the ranks of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, quickly escalated into a full-blown internal crisis, one that has now reshaped the state's political landscape. The first major shock came with the resignation of Governor Ademola Adeleke from the PDP, a move that has sent ripples across the state and raised questions about the future of the party. He once led to victory in that party. His exit triggered fresh struggles for control, leaving the party internally fractured and its leadership structure visibly weakened. As tension deepens, a faction of the PDP's executive committee in Osun State and of course across the country went ahead to conduct its own governorship primary in Osogbo. Delegates, party officials and aspirants loyal to this bloc gathered to elect a candidate despite strong objections from the national leadership and of course a factional national leadership and the governor's camp. This factional primary not only highlighted the deep ideological and strategic differences within the party, but also exposed the intense battle for legitimacy, recognition, and control ahead of the next election. Meanwhile, other segments of the party have insisted that any primary conducted without the approval of the national leadership and the factions on the same page is null and void, setting the stage for what may become a prolonged legal political tussle. On today's big story, we will unpack these developments. Why did the governor leave the PDP? Who holds the real structure in Osun State? And the real structure in the PDP nationally? What does this factional primary mean for the party's unity? And what happens next as the election draws closer? Don't forget, even the Speaker of the Osun State House of Assembly was at the venue just after the primary was conducted. And he said he doesn't know anything about the primary. And he's a leader of the PDP in his state. He's been there for a long time. He won his last election on the platform of the PDP. So he felt he had the right to know if a primary election was going to be conducted in a state. So he left the plenary session he was having and then went to the ground, to the hall where the primary election was to be conducted. And he met the absence of some people. But then he made a claim about the fact that it was the handiwork of the executive governor of Oyo State, Engineer Abiodun Oluwaseyi. He made some claims. I'm going to play the material shortly, but then let me welcome my guest on the show this morning. His name is Ofino Ebuselume Ignatius. He has joined me on this show to make sense of the trending issues in Osun State. He's a public affairs analyst, a seasoned one at that, and a good governance advocate. Ofino, good to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning, Samson Balogun. I'm delighted to be here this morning.
You saw the drama that happened in Osun State.
Wow.
What would be your complete and holistic overview of what happened in Osun in the last 1 week?
History has a way of repeating itself. One, as a tragedy. Then two, as a fact. But when we are talking about the political scenario in Osun State, it is best being described as what? Tragic facts. You see, when we are talking about the scramble for power or the scramble for resources, it is full of intrigues, gimmicks, permutation, alignment, realignment, and the conspiracy theory. When you look at the political party called PDP, PDP was supposed to play a strong opposition, the role of the opposition, but PDP has failed itself. Not failing itself, it has also failed and disappointed Nigerians. Because Nigeria we are expecting PDP as a political party to be a formidable opposition party to the ruling party, not a parallel government now. But it's quite unfortunate because of internal conflict, the power play, ego, and what we call the arrogance of power. That is why you see PDP is in what? It's in disarray. A lot of big wigs have left the party. And when you look at PDP itself, its problem actually started in 2022/2023. Zoning of the presidency to the south. There was a compromise in Asaba. At the end of the day, the former governor of Delta State, Senator Ifeanyi, betrayed the so-called consensus. At the end of the day, what happened? He decided to accept the nomination for the vice presidential slot of PDP.
He took the VP slot with Atiku.
Yes, with Atiku. So it was a betrayal of trust. Then we all knew what happened. At the end of the day, the G5 came to react in a way. They even went to the extent that, led by Wike, yes, Wike, the former governor.
There were 5 governors.
Yes,
yes,
G5.
Wike, Seyi Makinde,
yes,
Samuel Hotom,
yes,
Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi,
yes,
and
Ikpeazu. We are there, all there. Then I was one thing they were agitating, that if the presidential candidate of PDP comes from the north, the national chairman must not also come from the north. They now asked Ayu to step down. He refused. We all knew then that Wike himself was even having a political ambition. He lost at the primaries. So at the end of the day, the so-called power play in PDP, they thought that at least let them give Wike the vice presidential slot. But based on recommendation, the presidential candidate of PDP, in person of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, decided to go for Senator Ifeanyi Okowa. So at the end of the day, we all knew what happened. Wike and his men decided to fight.
To withdraw.
Yeah, to fight back. They were in the party and they worked against the party. And the party lost. So when you see what is going on in PDP today, that is what we call Wikeism. Wikeism simply means that you can be in your own political party, work against the political party without being sanctioned. But here now there is a problem on ground based on the allegation leveled against the executive governor of Oyo State in person of engineer Seyi Makinde, Makindeism. So when you are talking about Makindeism, what does it mean? It means the desperation to grab power. It also means the desire for a change.
Okay, so if by all this you have said, what were the early signs that the PDP was heading for a crisis of this magnitude?
There was a time people were saying that the time has come for Damagun to tender resignation, which he bluntly refused, probably for political reasons or for personal reasons. The problem with PDP is what I will call a self-inflicted problem. Power ego is there. They have that personal ambition. Now they have violated their own constitution and also violated the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There was a subsisting court judgment banning PDP from going ahead with the Ibadan National Convention. And at the end of the day, what happened? The executive governor of Oyo State decided to go ahead. That was a violation. Nigeria is a country founded on law and order. No one is above the law. The governor of Oyo State have violated the law. Those who were involved in the National Convention have violated the law. But now the governor enjoys what we call the immunity. An ordinary Nigerian cannot do so. If an ordinary Nigerian does so, he should be prosecuted according to the law.
Some have considered Seyi Makinde faction of the PDP as the ones trying to bring the needed and necessary change to the PDP. Now you have said he has violated the law. That the convention shouldn't have gone ahead.
Yes!
But then, if you put these statements side by side, some see him as the saint in the party, trying to bring unity into the party and then bring cohesion.
Law is law if it is obeyed. Law is also law when there is punishment for its violation. That's the principle. He is the governor of the state. He is an intellectual, educated, an engineer. You don't violate the law of your country. He is a public figure. Why do you want to establish a bad precedent as an executive governor of a state?
Would you say the action of the governor of Oyo State to press ahead with the national convention in Ibadan was one of the determining factors that made Governor Ademola Adeleke leave the party in Osun State?
Let me give an instance.
Was it enough?
The best position, the best decision that Governor Ademola Adeleke Sherubawon took is the best for now. Because if guys not take it, INEC does not recognize the national convention. INEC does not recognize the national leadership of PDP. And that's the true position. He said you have violated your law and your constitution. The same thing when the Lord Justice delivered his judgment. He said, PDP, go and reconcile. You have already violated your what? Your own party guidelines and constitution. So whatever you are going to do is illegal. They still went ahead.
After the
impunity.
After the resignation of Governor Ademola Adeleke in Osun State, leaving the party, and then the PDP, the faction, the Seyi Makinde faction of the PDP, went ahead to conduct a primary election in Osun State.
That was also illegal.
And the speaker of the Osun State House of Assembly came out to say, look, I am not aware there was going to be a primary election here. As a leader of the party in my state, I deserve to know if there was going to be a primary election. So let's listen to what the speaker of the Osun State House of Assembly had to say to Governor Seyi Makinde. He left a message for him, and I want you to decode the message quite well.
They are not PDP members. They are not delegates. I couldn't remember. We received a message to. I'm the speaker of Osun State. I'm a leader in my state, and I'm a leader in my party. We were at the floor of the house when we received a call that some people are here. They came all the way from Oyo State just to have what we can call a drama in our own state. I'm a leader of PDP. I'm a bona fide PDP member. I used PDP ticket to win my election in 2023. So it's very strange to see videos of people calling themselves PDP members from Osun State. They are not PDP members. They are not delegates. I couldn't remember. We received a message 2 or 3 days ago that there's going to be a Congress. Well, we were waiting for them, and eventually we received another message that the Congress has been postponed. Now today, they came all the way from Oyo State. If Governor Seyi Makinde, this is a message to Governor Seyi Makinde. If Governor Seyi Makinde is desperate to become president come 2027, should use another state as a tool, not Osun State. We are PDP members, bona fide PDP members. In a state whereby we have 25 House of Assembly members, a speaker, we have 5 House of Rep members, we have a senator, and a governor from another state will come to our state to dictate for us. We won't take that. We won't take that. And this is a message to everybody that we won't take this anymore. We are leaders of our party, and we won't take this anymore. They came here to do what I can call a drama, and this will be the end of it.
Mr. Speaker, are you claiming that there was no notification to you or any other chairman of the party?
No notification whatsoever from any quarter, both the National Working Committee, both from the state, no message. I'm a leader of my state. I'm the speaker. And we have members. This is deputy speaker. These are leaders. These are honorable members. And a governor from another state will come to our state to dictate for us. We won't take that.
What is the next step for the party, sir?
Oh, well, the leaders, we are going to have a meeting and we will decide that.
Sir, lastly, sir, the governor just resigned from the PDP. What's your reaction to that?
Well,
and what's the stand of the State Assembly?
The truth is this, I wish him well. He's our leader. He has done well. He's doing well. We are so proud of him. But we won't say because we love him, he shouldn't go ahead with his ambition. We wish him well. We wish him, and that's just the truth. But we are PDP.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, welcome back. That was the Speaker of Osun State House of Assembly. He was visibly lost. He had no idea there was going to be a primary election in his own state, in his political party.
When a governor wants to visit a say the governor or the state, another state in Nigeria, I think there is a protocol. You are coming to Osun State without notifying your brother governor. On moral ground, it's a violation. So that shows that Makideism simply means what? Desperation for the presidency. And I'm going to say it on this platform that APC has a presidential candidate already. No other person than Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Now, PDP is yet to organize themselves. ADC has not told us who and who they want to float. Labour Party have not told us who and who they want to float against the incumbent president. But believe you me, if at the end of the day, PDP now decide to nominate His Excellency Engineer Abiodun Oluseyi Makinde to contest against Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I wouldn't know if he's going to win Tinubu. But I'm going to say something that will shock the world this morning. If Engineer Seyi Makinde eventually emerge as the PDP flag bearer and he contests against Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and he wins that election, let my life go for it. No, I'm telling you.
That's a bold claim.
No, I know what I'm saying. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a master strategist. So anyone that will contest with him must be someone who is also a master strategist to the core.
Equally or better than that.
Better than him. I'm telling you what I know. We are talking about Engineer Seyi Makinde. He has right to contest. But can he ever defeat someone like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu? That was why I made that bold claim. And I'm also standing on it.
Are you saying the PDP is strategically dead?
PDP for now is not dead, but it's a state of coma and is in disarray because of what? The arrogance of power. Ego. None of them want to step down. They want to control the structure of the party. We are talking about Nigeria wants a change. They want a change in governance. So now we are talking. Let me give you an instance. When you talk about Osun State, it's a volatile state politically. I remember the youth leader that was assassinated. Ayegbaju, if you remember. Yeah. We remember the issue that happened in the Ooni's palace during the reign of His Imperial Majesty, Oba Okunade, Oba Chijuade, Oba Okunade, Chijuade, Olubuse II. If you remember what happened with the late Attorney General of the Federation, Chief Bola Ige, in the palace that time. We all knew what happened and transpired. So when we are talking about Osun State politically, it is a volatile state. And when you remember in 2018, there was all the issue of inconclusive election in Osun State. This man was leading. Governor Ademola Adeleke then was the one leading. What happened at the end of it? There was something that happened from INEC. The election was now declared inconclusive. They now said they are going to do a rerun election in Ife North. At the end of the day, Chief Omishore, Iyola Omishore, the former deputy governor of Osun State, compromised. And at the end of the day, what happened? The person that was taking the second position, Oyetola, eventually emerged as the what? As the governor. Because of the rerun election that was held in Ife North. If you remember then, the inconclusive election. So when we are talking about politics, man for man, you must be able to match your opponent. Let me give you an instance. Let's assume you come out with your own program. Why do we need a change? Now, in Nigeria today, there is high level of insecurity. This is what the APC government have done. This is what they have failed to do. But when Party B that is contesting, you now tell them that this is what we are going to do differently. Then when it comes to the issue of healthcare delivery system, you tell us this is what APC have done. This is what they failed to do. But when our own party comes in power, we are elected. This is what they are going to do differently. You come to the issue of the economy. This is what APC government did. That is why we are having problem with our economy. But this is what we are going to do differently. When it comes to the educational sector, you say the same thing. This is what APC did. This is what we are going to do differently. When it comes to the issue of foreign policy, you tell the world, this is what APC have done. This is what they failed to do in terms of our foreign policy. But this is what we are going to do differently. When it comes to the issue of capital infrastructure, you tell Nigerians, this is what APC have done. This is what they have failed to do in the area of capital infrastructure. But this is what we are going to do differently.
Now, if you look at the current situation, if you narrow it down to the issue currently going on in Osun State, you look at the current approach. Ademola Adeleke left the party. He has not made an announcement of which political party is joining. But
it's in a state of dilemma.
But some people say Ademola Adeleke is working accordingly as we speak. If you can decode that, that is, you know,
he already has a credible alternative.
That's what
but
I'm saying.
It's just unfortunate we don't have an independent candidate. Assuming we were having independent candidates, based on INEC guidelines, I think the governor will have decided to contest.
To run as an independent candidate.
Yeah, to run as an independent candidate. Because the good people of Osun State, they love him. The era of half salary is gone. I'm not trying to run down your reputation or personality. When we are talking about leadership, it is about service delivery. Do you know what Jefferson said? He said, when the government is afraid of the people, there is liberty. He said, but when the people is afraid of the government, there is tyranny.
Okay, what Adeleke's exit from the PDP, what does it say about those who built their political ambition around the structure of the PDP in Osun State? As
that was the best decision to take. For now,
Adeleke has gone.
No, that was the best decision he took. For now, there is nothing called PDP in INEC's diary anymore. There is nothing like PDP anymore. In INEC's diary, INEC has that constitutional responsibility to register what? Political parties. To print their names on ballot. The name of the governor is not going to appear on the ballot. It's the name of the political party. But it's a political party that has been factionalized. There is a problem on ground. Constitutional problem. Violation of court judgment. It's an offense in itself. So the decision that the governor took, Ademola Adeleke, was the best decision to take. That was the best. It wasn't his own fault. It was the fault of the leadership of PDP. PDP have always been in this area. I remember, look at Engineer Seyi Makinde. I'm not running down his personality. He was a product of a parallel convention or a parallel congress. If you remember very well, in 2018, His Imperial Majesty, Oba Dr. Senator Adewolu Akanmu Ladoja, Arusha 1, was the leader of PDP in Oyo State. They went to organize their own party convention, if you remember that time. Then again, this man, Azim Bolarumi, Barrister Azim Bolarumi, led the Engineer Seyi Makinde convention. He led it. They did the empowering convention. But because Wike was close to Engineer Seyi Makinde, you know what he used to call our governor here? My in-law, my in-law. You know, he married one of our daughters from the Niger Delta. So when somebody is our in-law, those of us from Niger Delta, we always want to work with the person. But it's just unfortunate that for now, Wike and our own in-law, Engineer Seyi Makinde, they are now in disarray politically. Because of what? Political ambition. So politicians are so desperate for power. They want to control the party structure. When you are talking about the party structure, you are talking about fixing your men at the national executive level, at the national working level, at the level of the board of trustees, at the state executive level, at the local government executive level, at the world executive level. So when you are in charge, so when Atiku left PDP some times ago, it was Wike that was funding the party. So he was able to get hold of the party, though he was using state fund, the fund that belonged to the good people of Rivers State. Because he cannot use his own personal fund. It's not possible. So it's an institutional failure in this country that even the so-called Ibadan National Convention, the money that was being spent there, it was still state fund. Or your state fund was also being expended in that that project called Ibadan PDP National Convention.
No, let me ask you this question very quickly. With what is going on in Osun State, Adeleke out of the party, and of course has not announced the political party he's moving to, and he has to contest the next election because he has made his intention known. Is there still room for reconciliation in the PDP, or the damage is beyond repair?
Even if there is going to be reconciliation, I won't expect the governor to go back there for now. Do you know that the governor is in a state of dilemma? He has been traumatized politically. His own party.
Some tagged him a political orphan.
He's not a political orphan. That word is derogatory. How will you say an executive governor is a political orphan? No! When we are talking about PDP, the People's Democratic Party, is a party name. It is the member that are the real party structure.
Partyless governor.
It's derogatory. You don't call an executive governor a partyless governor. No! Do you know that Adeleke has a name? Not because he has a nephew called Davido. No.
Does he have a party now?
For now, he's going to have a party because the law does not allow for independent.
The question is, does he have a party?
For now, he's yet to disclose the party where he belongs. He has not disclosed to us the party he is going to contest with. He has not disclosed to us. But I know there is no room for him for independent candidate.
INEC guideline says if there is a crisis in your political party, you have every right to cross from one political party to another. Does Adeleke have a solid ground to move to another political party?
No, it was not INEC that said it. It was the electoral law. INEC did not make the electoral law. It was the members of the National Assembly that made those electoral laws.
And they put in the
there
loophole.
Was INEC input in it
Would
too.
you say that was a loophole that every one of them is trying to explore?
There is one thing you must understand, the desperation for power. Most of these politicians, they are not interested about national development. There is what we call overriding public interest. Irrespective of the party, Nigerians have right to quality road infrastructure. Nigeria have right to quality education. Nigeria have right to maximum security. Nigeria has right to what we call good foreign policies. Nigeria have right to what we call quality healthcare delivery system. Nigeria have right to what we call quality justice system. Irrespective of the political party that wins the election, that is what applies in the United States. Whether it is the Republican that is ruling or the Democrat, the right of the Americans must never be denied. The right of the Americans must never be deprived.
How do you think INEC as a body can respond to this current state of intra-party crisis?
For now, it is not the business of INEC. It is a political affair. Political problem must be solved politically. Sometimes some of us are not even happy when there are political issues, people going to court to seek for redress.
Okay,
you can see Sule Lamido. He went to court that he was being excluded. You can see sometimes when you think that you are a political genius, you get it wrong. They will have allowed this man to buy the what? The nomination form. Then there is what we call the conspiracy theory. Then you now go for what we call national convention. He is going to contest. Then you now strategize. At the end of the day, he will lose. They didn't go. What they now resort to what? Consensus. When you adopt consensus, you have denied someone his right to contest. So that was why Sule Lamido, as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, went to court to seek for justice, and he got the justice. Now, there are three ways politicians nominate their candidates. The first one is what we call direct primaries, where all registered party members nominate who they want as their flag bearer. 2, indirect primaries, where the party members will now nominate delegates. It is the party member that will nominate delegates. That delegate will now act in proxy for them before this delegate will now decide to nominate who is going to be the flag bearer. Then the last one is what we call consensus. In that consensus, the National Working Committee and the National Executive Committee of the political party, we have seek what we call wider consultation. This is why we should adopt this person as our consensus candidate. And one, there are two things they look into it. The first one is what? Popularity of the candidate. Then 2, acceptability. Every registered political party today, they want to win election. Do you know that rigging is part of election? Though it is a conspiracy theory. So a lot of politicians in this country, most of them, I see them as people that are being desperate for power. So there is a power play. But now, the governor of Osun State did the best thing for him to have tendered his resignation from PDP. But now, the ball is in his own court. Whichever party he's going to decide to run, is he definitely going to win? Because Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCAFR, the Iragbiji bond, has interest
in what happens in Osun State.
In what happened in Osun State. So the election in Osun State is going to be a tough one. Believe you me. But we don't want crisis in Osun State. We have had a lot of political crisis in Osun State. If I was the president, I would have allowed this man, Governor Adeleke, to go on with his second term because the good people of Osun State love him.
Now, I don't think the president has any form of a direct effect on what happens in Osun State as you speak. But you might have interest. But what I'm trying, the question I want to ask you this morning is, if the president has interest in the election in Osun State, Ademola Adeleke has made it visibly known time and time again that he is with the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it is the president, then him, regardless of political affiliations of which political party they belong. Do you think that going forward, having been bounced from joining the APC at one point or the other, do you think that relationship still hold going into the next election?
I don't like such type of political ideology. That is why I'm not happy with the G5 governors. How will you work with against your party? You are supposed to work for your party, not against your party.
Regardless of
yes,
candidates they present.
Let me give you an example. Twins, the first twins, the second twins, both of them have political ambition. They are contesting under different political platforms. One of them will definitely emerge. It's now left for their siblings to decide. I prefer the first twin, Taye, to win than the second twin, Kende, to win. Some other siblings will say, no, I want Kende to win and not Taye to win. It's a matter of choice. Now there is a trade-off. Do you know that Seyi Makinde decided to trade off in 2023 because of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed? That was what cost some of the PDP senators in Oyo State to lose the election because there was a trade-off.
But the governor denied the
what do you expect him to say? We have seen politicians lying under oath. President lying under oath. Executive governor lying under oath.
On the floor.
Judges lying under oath. Executive chairman of local government lying under oath. Senators lying under oath.
On the floor of the Oyo State House of Assembly, the governor made a statement and they was talking to the APC and some other political parties and said, one left February election. And he made a statement about the song a particular musician sang during the coronation of the 44th Olubad of Ibadan land, that is going to be madness against madness. So it means one way or the other, his body language says this time around is going to be fire for fire.
We don't need violence. We don't need violence. We don't want a military takeover in this country. You can see the wave of military coup in Africa. Like a raging storm,
especially
like a political tsunami. Nigeria must be very careful. In 1963, the Wild West, we all knew what happened. That was one of the causes of military takeover. We all knew what happened in 1983. What happened? Adekunle Ajasi and the other man. There was issue in Ondo State. There was crisis. Omo Boriowo, remember Victor Omo Boriowo from Ekiti State? He was the deputy of the former governor of Adekunle Ajasi of UPN. The crisis was there. So when we are talking about military takeover in Nigeria, who are the responsible? Who are to blame? It's the politicians themselves. They are the one inviting the military to take over. We don't want a military coup. Politicians must be very careful, especially in Nigeria. Nothing as good as democracy. It's because of democracy. That is why I can come to this platform to express my feelings.
All right, very quickly before we go, just in 30 seconds, what would you say to Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State and the governor of Osun State as we speak, because the election is just around the corner.
Governor Seyi Makinde should tread softly. And Governor Adeleke Ademola Jackson Serubawon Jr. should ensure that he does not lose that election.
That's saying he should win at all costs.
I'm not saying he should win at all costs.
Okay.
He's not a violent person. We have seen, since he has been elected as governor and sworn in, there has been peace in Osun State and capital development. We have seen it. The civil servants are happy with him. The traditional leaders in Osun State are also happy with him. So I wish him the best of luck. But we don't want violence in any part of this country.
Thank you, Boselume, for joining us on the show this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
It has been a wonderful session with you. And this will be the fine place to leave this story this morning. This is the Big Story on Dominion Television, your channel of choice, where inspiration meets entertainment. Do well to link up with us on all socials, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast. And on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. All right, let's go on a quick break. And when we return, the show continues. Bye for now.